Welcome back to another video. Today I'll be talking about the special 5-star Covenant Hero Selector that we'll be getting as part of the Epic Dash event. We're getting one we get one this week after you finish the missions, and I believe you get more later on. So knowing what units to get is pretty important, considering some units are probably higher power than others. I made a tier list for these what I would suggest selecting. This is mostly PvP with a bit of PvE in it. I think if you want to plus 15 a unit, you should definitely prioritize DPS units because they get the most value from plus 15. So while some units might be better than others, such as Crowd being better than maybe some of these units in A tier, Crowd doesn't need to be plus 15, while like DPS units do need to be plus 15. So for the S tier, these are the most important units I would think you would need. More is a staple in PvP in both RTA, Arena, and all three PvP content, RTA, Arena, and Guild War. Fenny is really good in PvE, and she shines in some spots in RTA. Lidica might be the strongest RGB unit in RTA right now, and she's definitely pretty decent in Guild War as well. Janua is always one of the strongest DPSs, so plus 15 him is not a bad idea. Polly's been around forever, and her passive alone is incredibly valuable. Sneal is one of the hardest counters to DDR, which makes him really good as well. And Green Charles, I think, is necessary for the Constellation of Ding. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Next up, Vildred is more of a unit that you would want if you're like a speed player that wants to race. Having him plus 15 would be nice. Celine is decent in some spots. Mostly in RTA, sometimes in Guild War, but they do have a lot of Celine traps in Guild War, so you gotta be careful. Lilius is decent in both Guild War and RTA, and she does need to be plus 15 considering she does do a good damage with like all her abilities. Wukong is really good in some PvE content and sometimes in PvP. One of my guildmates used Wukong a lot in Guild War last season and never lost to him. Arya is like one of the best GVG units around, so she's always good to have. Rowana is good for both PvE and PvP. Alencia is just a decent green option to have, especially if you do own Young Senya. Fire Ravi is just a DPS unit that could be plus 15. Naquo is better than pretty much every unit in A, but like I said, she's not. You don't really need a plus 15 her, so she's a lower prio. If you don't have her though, definitely snatch her up. Ken is pure PvE as far as I know. Ida is decent. Plus 15. Peyra is decent, but she doesn't need plus 15. Yohar and Kraus serve similar roles as like with the S3 as finishers and soak up as much damage as possible, so they're decent. Abigail is pretty good in PvP Guild War wise. You could like use Kayvon, Abigail, and against Shu and just like have the Kayvon solo. Elena is good in PvP, probably better than a lot of the units in A, especially against some forms of cleave. But once again, she does not need to be plus 15. Eligos was probably the most broken. Eligos was the Lidica of last season, where he was the most broken RGB unit, but not so much anymore. Bihu is decent sometimes. I've seen people use like his S1 to one-shot Celine, which is pretty cool. Next up in C tier, we have Destina, Sharon, Ran, and Kisei. Destina is alright. Honestly, she's probably mostly PvE now. I don't really see anyone pick her in PvP. Sharon is alright. Ran really fell off a cliff, but I mean, he's a DPS, and if you like playing Ran, you can definitely gear him up. He's really cool. Kisei, DPS. If you like a mid cleave, definitely an A or even S. But if you're not in a mid cleaver, I would say she's like pretty low prio. Lastly, Melissa. I like Melissa a lot, but unfortunately, this unit is just a piece of garbage. If there's any other units you guys think I'm missing, just leave it in the comments. And if you have any other questions, leave it in the comments, or feel free to ask me on Discord, as I apply much faster there. Thanks for watching the video, and see you guys for the next one.